Something changed when the calendar flipped to 2026. You felt it, even if you couldn't name it, even if you told yourself you were imagining it. You're not imagining it. The frequency just shifted. The baseline vibration of reality itself moved to a different level, and 2026 is not going to operate by the same rules that governed the years before it. Most people will miss this completely, moving through 2026 the same way they move through every other year, applying the same strategies, running the same patterns, expecting the same results, and they'll wonder why nothing works the way it used to, why their old methods aren't landing, why everything feels harder or stranger or just off. You're here right now, which means some part of you already knows that something fundamental changed, and what I'm about to show you is exactly what that shift means, why it happened, how to recognize it in your own life, and how to align with the new frequency so that 2026 becomes the year everything finally clicks instead of the year you spent fighting against a current you didn't understand. By the time we're done here, you're going to understand what frequency shifts are, why 2026 marks a specific turning point, what the new rules of manifestation are now that the frequency has changed, and how to position yourself to thrive in this new energetic landscape instead of struggling against it. Let me start with the most important thing you need to understand. When I say the frequency shifted, I'm not talking metaphorically. I'm not using spiritual language to describe something vague and intangible. Frequency is measurable. It's the rate at which energy vibrates, and everything in the universe, including you, including your thoughts, including collective human consciousness, operates at specific frequencies. Most years see the collective frequency shift gradually, small incremental changes that you barely notice because they happen slowly enough for your nervous system to adjust without realizing anything's different. Certain years mark threshold points, moments when the collective frequency doesn't gradually shift, but jumps to a completely different level all at once. And when that happens, everything that stood on the old frequency suddenly doesn't fit anymore. Think of it like changing the channel on a radio. When you're tuned to one station, you hear that music clearly, but the moment you shift the dial even slightly, the old station becomes static, and a new station comes into focus. That's what just happened. The dial shifted, and 2026 is broadcasting on a different frequency than 2025 did. Which means when you're still trying to tune into the old station, when you're still operating on the old frequency, you're going to hear nothing but static, confusion, resistance, things not working the way they used to. But when you recognize that the frequency shifted, and you consciously adjust your own vibration to match the new baseline, suddenly everything that felt hard becomes easier. Doors that were closed start opening, opportunities that didn't exist before become visible, and you realize you're not fighting upstream anymore. You're flowing with a current that's actually moving in your favor. What makes 2026 different? And why did the frequency shift now instead of last year or next year? Because we just crossed a major collective threshold. Humanity as a whole has been moving through an accelerated awakening cycle for the past several years. More people questioning old systems, more consciousness around what's real and what's programming, more collective awareness that the way things have always been done is not the way things have to continue. That awareness creates energy, and when enough people simultaneously hold a frequency of questioning, of seeking, of refusing to accept limitations that felt fixed, that collective energy builds pressure until it reaches a tipping point. 2026 is that tipping point. The frequency didn't shift because the calendar changed. The calendar changing just happened to coincide with the moment when collective consciousness reached critical mass and jumped to the next level. You can feel it in the air. You can feel it in conversations. You can feel it in the way people are moving through the world right now. There's a restlessness, an impatience with the old way, a sense that waiting and hoping and doing things the slow, careful way doesn't match the urgency of this moment. That restlessness is not anxiety. It's your consciousness detecting that the frequency changed and your old patterns are no longer aligned with the new baseline. And here's what most people don't realize. When the frequency shifts, the rules of manifestation change with it. What worked in 2025, what worked in the years before, the timelines, the effort required, the strategies, the techniques, those were all calibrated to the old frequency. And now that the frequency has shifted, Those old methods are like trying to use a key from your old house to unlock your new house. The key isn't broken. The house isn't broken. They just don't match anymore. So when you've been feeling like your manifestation practice stopped working, when you've been trying the same techniques that used to create results, and now they're just not landing, when you've been wondering why everything feels harder, or slower, or more confusing, this is why. You're trying to manifest on the old frequency in a reality that's now operating on a new frequency, and the mismatch is creating resistance. But the moment you understand the new rules, the moment you recalibrate to the new frequency, manifestation doesn't just get easier, it gets faster, more direct, more undeniable. Let me tell you what the new frequency demands, because this is where everything changes. The old frequency rewarded patience. It rewarded slow, steady progress. It rewarded following the plan, doing things the right way, waiting your turn, proving yourself over time. The new frequency doesn't care about any of that. Speed gets rewarded now. Bold action gets rewarded. People who move before they feel ready get rewarded. People who claim what they want without waiting for permission get rewarded. People who trust their inner knowing more than they trust external validation get rewarded. Under the old frequency, you could spend years preparing, building credentials, making sure you were qualified, and eventually opportunities would open up for you. Under the new frequency, preparation without action is just procrastination. Opportunities are already here, they're available right now, and they're going to the people who say yes immediately, who move when the impulse hits, who don't need 3 months to think about it. This doesn't mean you act recklessly. It means you trust yourself enough to move when something inside you knows it's right, even if your logical mind hasn't caught up yet. Under the old frequency, manifestation centered on visualization, repetition, convincing yourself something stood true until your subconscious believed it. Under the new frequency, manifestation is about embodiment. You don't visualize the future version of yourself. You become that version right now, today, before any evidence shows up, and you let the reality reorganize itself around the frequency you're holding. Under the old frequency, you attracted things by wanting them, by focusing on them, by putting energy toward them. Under the new frequency, you attract things by being them. You don't chase the money, you become the person who naturally has money. You don't seek the relationship, you become the person who is already whole and loved. You don't try to manifest success, you embody the frequency of someone whose success flows too effortlessly. This is a complete inversion of how most people learn to manifest. And that's exactly why so many people are struggling right now. They're still operating on the old model in a reality that has moved to a completely different operating system. Let me show you what this looks like in practice, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Under the old frequency, let's say you wanted to start a business. The process looked like this: research the market, create a business plan, save up capital, build the website, get everything perfect, launch when you're ready, hope it works. That entire process could take a year, maybe 2 years, and by the time you launched, you'd invested so much time and energy that the fear of failure felt overwhelming. Under the new frequency, the process looks completely different. You get the idea for the business, you feel the pull, and instead of spending 6 months planning, you test it immediately. You offer the service before the website exists. You sell the product before it's fully built. You move on the impulse and let the infrastructure catch up. This terrifies people who are used to the old frequency because it feels reckless, it feels underprepared, it feels like you're doing it wrong. But under the new frequency, waiting is what's actually risky. Waiting means the idea loses momentum, the energy dissipates, the frequency you were riding when you got the inspiration shifts, and by the time you're ready, the opportunity has moved on. The new frequency rewards people who catch the wave while it's here, who say yes before they have all the answers, who trust that the details will work themselves out because they're aligned with the right energy. Under the old frequency, manifestation felt like pushing a boulder uphill. You had to work hard, stay consistent, keep believing even when nothing happened. And eventually, maybe, if you did everything right, the universe would reward your effort. Under the new frequency, manifestation feels like surfing. You're not pushing anything, you're catching a wave that already exists. And when you're on the right wave, when your frequency matches the opportunity, It carries you forward with almost no effort. But you have to be ready to paddle when you see the wave forming. You can't sit on your board analyzing whether it's the perfect wave, whether the conditions are ideal, whether you're skilled enough. By the time you finish analyzing, the wave has passed. The new frequency is faster, more responsive, more immediate, and it will not wait for you to feel comfortable. How do you recalibrate to the new frequency? And how do you make 2026 the year everything finally aligns? First, you have to release the old timeline completely. Not just release the patterns and habits, but release the identity of who you were in the old frequency. Most people try to bring their old self into the new frequency. They want to keep the same personality, the same comfort zones, the same way of operating, and just add new results on top. That doesn't work. A new identity is required by the new frequency, a new way of being, a new relationship with risk and certainty and control. Ask yourself right now, who did I exist as in the old frequency? What did I believe about what's possible, about what I deserve, about how long things take, about how hard I have to work? Write it down if you need to. Get specific. Name the old identity clearly. And then ask yourself, am I willing to let that person go? Not judge them, not shame them, but release them and step into a completely different version of myself? Because the new frequency is not for the old you. The old you existed perfectly calibrated to the old reality, but that reality doesn't exist anymore. A new you is demanded by the new frequency, and the faster you're willing to let go of who you were, the faster you'll align with who you're becoming. Second, you have to start making decisions from the new frequency today. Not next week, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances improve, but right now in this moment. Every decision you make is either aligned with the old frequency or the new frequency. There's no neutral, there's no middle ground. When an opportunity shows up and your first instinct is to say yes, but your fear says wait, which voice are you listening to? The old frequency says wait until you're sure, wait until you have proof, wait until it feels safe. The new frequency says move on. The yes, trust the impulse. Let certainty follow action instead of requiring certainty before action. When you have a choice between the comfortable path and the expansive path, which one are you choosing? Comfort gets rewarded by the old frequency. Expansion gets rewarded by the new frequency. When you're deciding how to spend your time, your money, your energy, are you investing in the life you had or the life you're creating? The old frequency says protect what you have. The new frequency says invest in what you're becoming. Every single choice you make today is either locking you into the old frequency or aligning you with the new one, and the cumulative effect of those choices over the next few weeks will determine whether 2026 becomes your breakthrough year or just another year of the same patterns. Third, you have to become obsessed with embodiment instead of achievement. Achievement dominated the old frequency, hitting goals, checking boxes, proving yourself through external results. The new frequency doesn't care about achievement, it cares about embodiment. Who are you being right now? What frequency are you holding right now? How are you showing up in this moment, regardless of what your bank account or relationship status or circumstances look like? When you embody the frequency of the reality you want before that reality exists in physical form, the new frequency responds instantly. Opportunities appear, synchronicities multiply, doors open, people show up, resources flow. But when you wait for the achievement before you embody the frequency, when you tell yourself, I'll feel abundant once the money shows up, I'll feel confident once I get the success, I'll feel loved once the relationship arrives, you're operating on the old model and you'll stay stuck. The new frequency demands that you become it first, that you hold the vibration now, that you walk through the world as the person who already has it, even though the three-dimensional reality hasn't caught up yet. This feels fake to people who are used to the old frequency. They think you're pretending, lying to yourself, bypassing reality. You're not. You're collapsing the quantum field. You're selecting which timeline you're committing to. You're sending a clear signal to the universe about what frequency you're broadcasting on. And the new frequency is so responsive, so immediate, that when you hold that embodiment consistently, reality reorganizes itself faster than you ever thought possible. Fourth, you have to trust speed over preparation. The old frequency taught you to prepare thoroughly, to make sure you were ready, to wait until everything sat in place before you made your move. Speed gets rewarded by the new frequency. Not reckless speed, not chaotic speed, but the speed that comes from trusting yourself enough to move when the moment presents itself. When you get an idea, act on it within 48 hours. When you feel a pull towards something, move toward it before you talk yourself out of it. When an opportunity shows up, say yes now and figure out the details later. This goes against everything you learned about being responsible, being careful, being smart. But the new frequency doesn't operate on those rules anymore. The new frequency is moving fast. Opportunities are appearing and disappearing in days instead of months, and the people who are thriving right now are the ones who learn to trust their intuition and move immediately. You can always course correct later. You can always adjust. You can always pivot. But you can't get back the opportunity you missed because you were too busy preparing. Let me give you a concrete example of what all this looks like when someone actually aligns with the new frequency. Let's say someone spent 2025 trying to build a coaching business. They spent months creating the perfect website, designing their offers, writing their content, making sure everything looked polished and professional. They launched at the end of the year and barely anyone signed up. Confusion hit them. Defeat settled in, like they did everything right but it didn't work. Then they watch this video, they realize the frequency shifted, and they understand that their entire approach got calibrated to the old frequency. So in January 2026, they make a completely different choice. They stop perfecting things and they start moving fast. Someone asks them a question in a Facebook group, and instead of overthinking their response, they create a quick video answering it and post it immediately. The video resonates. People start reaching out. Someone asks if they do one-on-one sessions, and instead of saying they need to think about it or create a formal package, they say yes on the spot and figure out the details on the call. That one yes leads to another yes, which leads to a referral, which leads to an opportunity they never would have anticipated. Within a month, they have more clients than they had in the entire previous year, not because they got better at their craft, not because they suddenly became more qualified, but because they aligned with the new frequency. They stopped preparing and started embodying. They stopped waiting and started moving. They stopped perfecting and started trusting. That's what the new frequency rewards. That's how 2026 operates. And that's what becomes possible when you stop fighting the shift and start flowing with it. Here's what you need to understand about 2026. This is not a normal year. This is not a year where you can coast. This is not a year where you can apply the same strategies you've always used and expect them to work. The frequency shifted, which means everything shifted. The rules changed, the timeline accelerated. The opportunities available right now are different than the opportunities that existed 6 months ago. You can resist this and spend the year feeling confused and frustrated, wondering why nothing's working, or you can recognize the shift, recalibrate your frequency, and position yourself to catch the wave. People who understand this, who adjust quickly, who let go of the old identity and step into the new one. Those are the people who will look back at 2026 and say, that was the year everything changed. People who resist, who cling to the old way, who keep trying to make the old methods work in a new reality, those are the people who will struggle all year and wonder what they're doing wrong. The choice is yours. The frequency already shifted. The question is whether you're going to shift with it. So let me ask you directly. What's the one thing you need to release from the old frequency right now? What belief, what pattern, what identity are you still holding on to that's keeping you locked in the old reality? And what's the one bold action you need to take in the next 48 hours that signals to the universe that you're aligned with the new frequency? You know what it is? You felt it the moment I asked. That uncomfortable, exciting, terrifying thing is your doorway to the new frequency. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. Don't convince yourself you need more time. Waiting doesn't get rewarded by the new frequency. Movement does. And 2026 is already moving with or without you. Catch the wave now or watch it pass. When this resonates with you, leave a comment and tell me, what's the one thing you're releasing from the old frequency? And what's the one action you're taking to align with the new one? Let's create a field of people who recognize the shift, and chose to move with it instead of against it. 2026 is not a normal year. The frequency just shifted. Now it's your turn.